the question was, what is the re-injury rates of these different types of injuries? So it really is going to depend on how long they gave it to heal and what sport they're looking to return to. Like I said, so like for instance, for the turf toe, if you tape it and you put the orthotic on and you put the protective footwear on the cleat, protective attachment to the cleat, they can return at a pretty high level, pretty fast, and not worry about re-injuring it. A high ankle sprain, much harder to fixate. So you saw what the joint looked like there. It's basically the separation of the two bones here. So how do you really tape for that? You know, you can't really tape it to stabilize it. What they do is they tape to stop the ankle from going in that position again. So, you know, we had one player that failed conservative treatment. We kept him out 4 weeks, 4.5 weeks, something like that. And he went to try running and it all went to pot. So we just sent him for surgery. So, you know, we gave him plenty of time to heal and not really do much, and it really didn't get better. So it's really very variable. So the question was the use of ankle braces in females specifically?
Like in preventing the injury.
Right, and injury prevention. So there's not a lot of data out there to support the use of those braces. You do kind of like limit the amount of motion within the ankle. So this is the trade-off with bracing, right? So take care. This is the trade-off with bracing. So bracing, the more stable a brace is, the less mobile the joint's going to be, right? All right, the less stability that a brace provides, the more mobility it provides. So you're constantly fighting this battle, right? So you want the joint, let's say the ankle specifically, you want the joint to function normally, but you want to protect it from injury, right? So how do you do that? You can get a super firm brace and not allow too much movement in the ankle, but you're not going to get a lot of performance out of that ankle either, right? You can go the other route and be like, have a super neoprene ankle. No, I'm not even going to call it a brace, just an ankle support that doesn't really stop your ankle from moving, but it really isn't protected either. So, you know, it's a real trade-off. So there's not a lot of data supporting that. There's a lot more data supporting hip strength as it correlates to ankle injury. So they look at soccer players specifically. That one study that I can show you the study, that's really supportive of actually a lot of hip strengthening. So like a lot of some college teams will force their linemen to wear knee braces, mandatory. They have no choice. Does it really prevent them from getting injury? It prevents them from getting rolled up on and having their knee taken out, maybe. But if they're planting and turning, it's not going to stop their knee from twisting in the brace and tearing something. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's a nice thought that we can just put braces on everybody and prevent injury, but it's really going to come more down to exercise instruction, teaching them the right way to do things, making sure they do it, and then following up and maintaining make sure they're maintaining proper alignment with their exercises and good muscle strength. So the question was, how can you address somebody with chronically loose joints in their lax ligaments in their feet or ankle, right? So you can't fix the ligament, whatever it healed in whatever position or way it healed, you know, from the previous injury. But what you want to do is you want to complement the stability that the ligament provides with muscular control. Okay, so there's like a way of saying it, like you know, everything happens once your foot hits the ground. As far as walking, like as a clinician, when you watch somebody walk, like everything starts happening as soon as their foot contacts the ground. So we have to think about, as they're walking, what's happening as their foot's hitting the ground, and not just in their foot. So is their knee extending? Is their quad contracting? Is their hamstring contracting? Is their glute contracting? You know, is their back stabilizing? You know, so what we want to try to teach somebody is be aware of what's happening in your foot. Be aware of what's happening all the way down, you know, and that starts with like single leg balance and a whole bunch of other things. But you try to make them aware of what's happening in their foot, and well, maybe their foot's rolling because their hips not firing and their center of gravity is falling out this way. You know, your center of gravity is everything. Like your body follows your center of gravity. Like anybody who's done martial arts ever, like if you want to control somebody in wrestling, anybody's wrestled in high school or judo or jiu-jitsu, the first thing that's going to go is the center of gravity. Anytime you move their center of gravity, the rest of their body has to go with it. You don't have a choice. So that same thing happens with our bodies when we walk. You know, where your center of gravity translates to, that's going to affect how your joints move and what muscles fire. So yeah, there are definitely ways you can adjust that. The question is, what clinical signs are there that can determine whether a person should keep going or just kind of sit out a little bit. So the quick answer is there isn't one clear way of doing that. But as a general rule, I would say if there's any swelling, any discoloration, any pain with movement, any pain with palpation where you're touching around the joint, those are probably warning signs that you wouldn't want anybody to continue. I think as a trainer, if you're an athletic trainer on the sideline, the first thing you would do is see if they could walk normally. Let's say if it's a foot, right? So let's see if they could walk normally. Can they walk normal? No. Then don't bother doing anything else, because if they can't walk normal, they're definitely not playing, right? So if they can walk normal, okay, let's see. Let's play with it. Play with the joint a little bit. Just move it around. Touch, pain with touch? No. Can you move it? How's your toe supposed to move? Your toe's supposed to move up and down. Does it move up and down? Okay, doesn't hurt. No, it looks pretty normal. Side to side. If there's any doubt, I would say keep them out. Dr. Padovan made a really good presentation on Monday morning for concussions here. And one of the things he said is, they do the sideline concussion assessment tool, the SCAT. They do the SCAT-5 on the sidelines. And, some players will nail the SCAT on the sideline and be completely lucent, and totally on it. And technically they could go back into play, but their hit that they took was so nasty that, you're not going to play. They'll keep them out anyway. So it's that kind of thing too, because they just have that nagging doubt. It's there's no way that you can't be affected by that. So you're going to sit, at least for a few plays. We're not going to take you out of the game, but sit for the quarter. Let's see how you feel. And then typically, normally, later on, they'll have symptoms and that will show up, something like that. So the reason I was saying that is because if there's any doubt, as you guys know what athletes look like, what they should look like when they perform. If they look like they're favoring something or just not giving it their all for some reason, then that's the sign that you got to sit them. So the question was the sesamoid bones, could it be indicative, an injury in the sesamoid bones could be indicative of a previous turf toe, right? So yes, it could be indicative of a previous injury to an injury like one that wasn't found, maybe they didn't go to the doctor for it or whatever. It just kind of healed on its own. So yeah, so the one x-ray I showed where you saw the sesamoid bones lower on the one foot versus higher on the other foot, that's an indication when that tendon tears, or that ligament tears, those bones actually translate down because there's nothing holding them up anymore. So a sesamoid bone by definition is a bone that's encased within the ligament itself or tendon. And the reason they're there is to provide a fulcrum moment to that joint. Okay, so another sesamoid bone is your patella. Your kneecap is a sesamoid bone. Okay, so it's free floating. It's within the tendon itself, but it really provides that fulcrum that your quad needs to extend your knee. Okay, so that's why those sesamoid bones are in your foot, in your toe as well. So that sounds more like an overuse injury, maybe just from pounding, if they're just fracturing them in that particular case. But yeah, you can have injuries that nobody goes to the doctor for and just kind of ices it and whatever, and then down the road you'll see, oh wow, I don't realize there's a lot of scar tissue there. Did you tear this ever? No, I don't remember, but that happens a lot.